Hello everyone, Sakya friends and all the network of very committed Dharma students and very dedicated translators. Thank you for having me to offer these teachings on the Prajnaparamita single letter R, which is the quintessence of all the teachings. So we rejoice our good fellowship and our ability to be in this situation and study and learn Dharma. I am here at Virupa Retreat Center. This is one of our residential retreat centers in Australia, situated outside Canberra. We had established this retreat center 20 years ago, so I'm glad to be able to offer this teaching from this seat of Dharma in Australia. Before we begin the teachings, we will do the prayers. The prayers are refuge and for immeasurables. During this, I ask all of you to rekindle your joy of having discovered Buddha and the Dharma, and more importantly, Sangha. And so we need to keep remembering our mutual bond with the refuge in the Triple Gem. If we do that, then we remember the central teachings of importance of practicing loving kindness and compassion to help sentient beings. And so therefore doing these prayers will make our practice very significantly blessed one. So we will screen share you the refuge prayer and the four immeasurables. These are metered in English. I will chant it slowly so that you can join in. Some of you may know these prayers in your own languages. If you do, you can do that, of course, because you may not be able to repeat the prayers in English, even though we are doing the screen sharing. Join your hands at the heart, sit still, and try to bring your serene and sincere motivation, and feel that as we are just in the presence of the fully enlightened Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, in presence of whom you are renewing your refuge and bodhicitta. Oyenda Buddha Dhamma Sangha Aitere future enlightenment by virtue of Jivendala I shall Buddha Utu and the Buddha Dharma Sangha Aitere future enlightenment by virtue of giving the life I shall Buddha to be and the Buddha Dharma Sangha Aitere future enlightenment by virtue of Jivendala I shall Buddha Utu May all beings have happiness and the cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they never part from the happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion to those near and far. May all beings have happiness and the cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they never part from the happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion to those near and far. May all beings have happiness, and the cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering, and the cause of suffering. May they never part from the happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell equanimity, free from attachment and aversion to those near and far, according to the intelligence and predisposition of it, whereas the Yatanda Dharma agrelo come vehicle. So we just did the refuge and a generation of bodhicitta prayers 3 times. That four-line prayer is written by Atisha, so it's very widely spread used prayer, which combines both refuge and bodhicitta. Then we chanted the 4 immeasurable prayer 3 times. And after that, we just did 1 verse prayer to request the teaching. That verse is written by famous Indian bhikkhuni, Gelongma Palmo, the great teacher and realized bodhisattva who did promote the nyungne or fasting ritual practice. So I thought of introducing those prayers, which we do at the beginning of each teachings. So today's teaching topic is the Prajnaparamita, a single letter R. This is a very important for people who have lots of faith in Mahayana Buddhist teachings, particularly Prajnaparamita. The Prajnaparamita, which means perfection of wisdom, is the highest teaching given by the Buddha. And this single letter R is the synthesis of all the many different versions of Prajnaparamita teachings. And so this particular text that I'm going to teach from is found in collection of sadhanas compiled by Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo. There are 14 volumes. He and together with the Loter Wangpo compiled this collection of very important sadhanas, translated some from Sanskrit into Tibetan. Most of them are written in Tibetan by many Tibetan masters. This collection of sadhanas is a collection of hundreds of empowerments together with some teachings and commentaries that is usually given over a couple of months. Right now, as we speak, the collection of sadhana is given by His Holiness Sakya Kongma Trichen and and there as well as the 42nd and 43rd in Bodh Gaya. Last November, Dzongtsar Khyentse Rinpoche also gave the collection of sadhanas in Dzongtsar Institute. So it is very common that these empowerments are given. I'm here to explain this very short, succinct text on the practice of single letter R. This single letter R is a very sacred letter, a sound, and a cause of kindling the awareness of the understanding of emptiness. I'll go through the text slowly and explain to you, and then in the middle of this session, I will also give the oral transmission, the lung, of the Heart Sutra for those who have not attended previous sessions. And also towards the end of it, do the oral transmission of the how to repel obstacles through the practice of Heart Sutra. This single R meditation has to be done in conjunction with Heart Sutra. This is why we did the last weekend's 2 night teachings on the Heart Sutra in order to be able to give these teachings on single letter R. And also then complemented by doing the empowerment of the deity Prajnaparamita, the goddess Prajnaparamita, tomorrow. So these are all connected. It's very good that there are so many of you have shown deep and keen interest in this practice. That shows how famous the Prajnaparamita or Heart Sutra practice is. And of course, Heart Sutra itself is a shortest form of the Prajnaparamita text. But even shorter than that is this single letter R meditation. This single letter R meditation is compiled by Parilotsawa, who is the teacher of Sachen Kunga Nyingpo. And so it has been all compiled together in few pages in the 6th volume of the collection of sadhanas. So I'm now going to go through the text. First of all, the author's pay homage to Namo Ekka Aksharaya, means homage to the single letter A. So here the homage is paid to the single syllable A. A pretty much is the quintessence. It is the text-wise, the A is the essence of all the Prajnaparamita text, as short as Heart Sutra, which is 25 verses long. And then other text is the Diamond Cutter Sutra, that is said to be about 350 verses. I'm not exactly sure. Then there is 8,000 verses long. That's usually considered to be the briefest one. Then the middle length is 25,000 verses of perfect Prajnaparamita. And the longest one is considered to be 100,000 verses. But here in this text it says, the text of Prajnaparamita consists of 80 million verses. So this version, we do not know where it is. So that's the text Prajnaparamita, that's a literature. Then the path of Prajnaparamita is connected to the 5 paths, meaning that any follower of Mahayana Buddhism, when they practice the Dharma, they have to make slow progress on 5 paths. The 5 paths are path of accumulation and path of preparation. These 2 paths are below the exalted saints, So this is prior to achieving the first bhumi. So, but nevertheless, people who have not entered the path, and those who entered the path, they become the practitioner on the path of accumulation. And then having practice on the path of accumulation, they make progress on the path of accumulation, lesser, medium, and advanced path of accumulations. After they become very developed in that, then they move to second path, path of preparation, where the practitioner has conceptual understanding of emptiness, boosted by their prior accumulation of merit. Without the merit, one cannot realize a path of preparation, let alone a path of seeing. Path of seeing is the third path, that is seeing the emptiness. And then after that is path of meditation, the fourth one. And the last one is path of no more learning. So the perfection of wisdom, Prajnaparamita, text-wise is one thing, and then path-wise these 5. And the meaning of the perfection of wisdom is emptiness. Meaning of emptiness, meaning that if one understands that the highest view that all things are not truly independently or unitarily existent, but they are only existent marginally because we have imputed dependently, therefore things exist. So in reality, nothing is truly, independently, permanently existent, including self. So therefore, Prajnaparamita, the meaning of the Prajnaparamita is to incite, to realize this awareness. So the meaning of Prajnaparamita, when it's a perfection of wisdom, what perfects the wisdom is understanding of emptiness. And this emptiness is caused to realize by stopping all thoughts, by using the ah. Yes, by utterance of the ah, either mentally or whisperingly or gutturally, meaning closed mouth but humming into the throat, or saying softly, verbally ah, or saying loudly, saying the ah, or sometimes combined with the use of mudras and so on. So there are a number of ways how the meaning of Prajnaparamita's emptiness could be evoked through the single letter A. So that is the topic. So it says, as soon as one wakes up in the morning, so this is suggesting how you can practice if you understand this. As soon as you wake up in the morning, get up from your bed and having washed, sit on your cushion in the diamond meditative posture, and then generate the altruism. Altruism meaning that you are going to do the meditation for the benefit of all sentient beings who are languishing in samsara by grasping to self as body, as name, as achievements, as emotions, as attainments or failures. Then people are bashing themselves and they are suffering. Because of that, sentient beings like our children are suffering unconsciously by not knowing the emptiness of self, not only emptiness of self, but impermanence of things, thinking they are permanent, thinking self is real, thinking what happened is unitarily caused by someone else or by ourselves, and then box in that wrong view, sentient beings are suffering. Alas, I must do this meditation of single hour meditation for the sake of all sentient beings to the level of Prajnaparamita, be that the meaning or the path or the deity Prajnaparamita, in order to establish all sentient beings on the state of Prajnaparamita-hood. With that in mind, then you recite the Heart Sutra. Heart Sutra begins, "Thus I have heard." So you start with reading the Heart Sutra all the way up to just before reciting the mantra in this way. So you don't recite the mantra, but you read the Heart Sutra up to the mantra first. And then what you do is thinking that all phenomena, this all phenomena refers to all external environment, and then inhabiting sentient beings, and grounds, and path, and everything is devoid of intrinsic self-nature. They're all just empty of true existence. They do not arise, nor do they abide. Thinking this, set the mind in that state of lustrous awareness, and then you whisper the ah. Whispering means that you can only whisper that is not audible to others, but it is audible to yourself, but inaudible to others. And then you subjectively focus on your whispering ah 21 times. It is said that a Lama called Da said that the syllable ang is the bodhicitta, and the droplet of the ang is wisdom, and a is method. So this is a suggestion that your a might have a post-nasal sound. Post-nasal sound is ang, but remember it is whispered. So you have to practice whispering ang. So you have to actually have back in the mind, you have to say, have the ang, the post-nasal ang, but initial vowel is a. So when you're saying the a with whisper sa ang, you need to say it very, very clearly. It said that reciting a is the method, and its meaning is the wisdom, because what you have to do is the reciting the a. Yeah, even whispering one is reciting. That's called method, and then reflecting the meaning of emptiness of all things is wisdom. The syllable a in Sanskrit is negative particle, means no. So a means no. When you read the Heart Sutra, there are as many as 37 no's. No form, no feeling, no this, no that. So, so here you recite the a. Saying the a is a method, but remembering the meaning of emptiness is the wisdom. And also, I would like to share you at least 2 Sanskrit words here tonight. The word anitya means impermanent. The word impermanent starts with anitya. Anitya means not permanent. And second Sanskrit word is anatma. Anatma means no self. So you can see, if you're merely saying the a methodically, but you, from the wisdom point of view, if you remember the emptiness, you are saying emptiness of permanence, your emptiness of self, and emptiness of inherent existence. So you have to say cognitively aware that things are not permanent. Things are not as they appear to you. Things are not truly independently existent. So with that understanding, if you can say each a, yeah, with these methodical utterance of the a, with each utterance of the ah, you are thinking the emptiness of all things. So that's how you do. You read the Heart Sutra, and then instead of the long mantra and the rest of the last part, I would call the epilogue of the Heart Sutra, you just recite the ah 21 times. It says here, if you do this single ah after the Heart Sutra 21 times, with this lustrous awareness that everything is not what it appears. What appears permanent is impermanent. What it appears as real is unreal. What it appears as truly existing does not truly exist. What it appears as independently produced is not independently produced. So with this in mind, you, in a very clear, lucid awareness, you say the ah 21 times. It says, doing this is equivalent to reciting the extensive Prajnaparamita. Even you read the 100,000 verse long Prajnaparamita, which in Tibetan is 12 big volumes. The merit of doing this version of our meditation will equal the merit, because all the meanings of the long text Prajnaparamita, even the 8,001, let alone 25,000 and 100,001, will all amount to the same lustrous realization that you will liberate from wrong views, the impermanent things as impermanent. Feelings are not there anymore. What was 10 years ago's feeling is no longer permanent. It never existed independently. So therefore you can set oneself free from the feelings. It is stated in the magical net tantra that ah is the supreme of all seed syllables. So this has come down through the Bodhisattva Vairochana. So this is the first of the single ah meditation. Now to elaborate the single ah meditation, it has 5 particular instructions how to do the single letter ah meditation. First is the essential instruction on how to pay attention to the mind and the natural sound of the ah that you're making. So it's a very conscious, subjectively lustrous awareness with which one needs to say the ah syllable. So let's look at the first one. First one is how to pay attention to the mind and its natural sound when you do. This has 3. This has 3 instructions. This has three points. The first one is how to establish yourself. How to establish means how to start yourself to do the practice. Second, what is the nature of the practice? Third is how do you remedy any faults such as dullness and agitation occur in meditation. How do you remedy that? Of these, the first one is when you want to do this meditation, you should give up all activities. You should totally free yourself from having to drink, having to read, having to sit, having to do other things. None of those other activities are required of your attention. Give up all activities. Set yourself completely free to do this meditation. And preferably try to do this as a quiet, peaceful, possibly isolated, quiet, secluded place. Because you need the space. Bring yourself in a good meditative posture. And then you should say Ah. This Ah should be long Ah. As you say the long Ah, long and loud, okay? Long and loud. You say the Ah long and loud, Ah, and focus consciously on the very sound of Ah. Because this is very important why you have to do it in a quiet, peaceful place where there's nobody around. Or time is very quiet and peaceful that nobody is around, yeah? So you should say the Ah, long Ah, consciously. Let the sound itself say long until you can no longer say anymore, become softer and softer until it naturally becomes mute. Do this as many as possible until you have a really clear awareness to be conscious of the mind. Your mind is with the very sounding of the Ah. So you may wonder, how does this single Ah becomes a meditation? If you reflect on the various meditation techniques, you're either given something to visualize, yeah, or you're something to say something, or you have to do something physically, physical mudra, verbal mantra, mental visualizations, and try to evoke devotion, compassion to sentient beings. Normally, most of the meditation requires you to project devotion to object, project empathy to sentient beings as a compassion meditation, and so on. It always requires an object to which your mind must fix your focus attention to. Here, your attention is subjective. You saying the sound Ah, and then pay attention to that. So that's the first one. How to get started to do the single Ah meditation. Find a quiet place and free from other activities, and then being able to say long Ah uninterrupted by any phones or any other activities, and you say that Ah as long and loud as possible, and then until it becomes softer and softer, it becomes mute. So that by sounding this Ah, your attention is so conscious. The long sounding Ah becoming softer and softer now becomes enables you to lustrously become cognizant of your mind. So that's the how to practice, yeah? How to practice Ah. Second is the nature. So you might say, how do I know that I'm doing it correctly? The nature of this ability to focus your mind, focus on the nature of mind, is that it creates a very pristine awareness, very, very vivid and clear, very serene awareness that is sharp and not conceptual. So not conceptual meaning you're not trying to think. It just sounding of ah itself makes the mind very lustrously aware, sharp, and vivid. It is so the nature of the ah utterance should be so vivid and clear. There's no dullness, no fogginess, and it is not coming from non-conceptualization. So that has to be the nature of quality. Nature means quality of your awareness when you say the ah. Okay. Now the third is the how to remedy any faults. Any faults meaning when you are doing this meditation, you may feel either very dull or agitated. You can't focus. The clarity isn't there. So this has two parts. One during the meditation, meditative equipoise. Another is post-meditationally. Post-meditation means in outside meditation, you might feel dull, you might feel agitated, you might feel disturbed or angry or sad. During that also you can use ah to remedy the mind in whichever state it is going, losing itself to. So first is in the meditation. During the time when you are doing the formal utterance of ah meditation, and your mind is very focused and try to stay very present, you might experience two types of faults, obstacles. Usually the agitation and dullness. Just like in calm abiding meditation and all meditation, primary obstacle is either agitation or dullness. Agitation doesn't mean necessarily becoming very agitated externally. It could be very excited as well. So you have a gross agitation and subtle agitation. As well as the dullness, you can have a gross dullness as well as subtle dullness. Yeah. So for instance, if you experience the agitation in the meditation with a single ah, when you're starting to say a long ah, loud long ah, and then slowly becoming softer. To remedy the agitation during that, you should count very short ahs. Very short ahs. Short ah means ah, 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 ah. You don't say long. You should just say as short as possible. It doesn't take long to say ah, and you make that even shorter, but say many ahs. Ah, 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 ah. And focus consciously on the sound ah, because you have to make them short and repeatedly saying many short ahs. This will lessen the agitation. This will lessen the agitation, not awareness. Reduces the agitation. Why? Because you are able to say many short ahs. How could you be agitated, Because probably saying the short ah many times remedies the very agitation. So that's the first one. Now, if you have dullness in the meditation, then how do you remedy that? In order to remedy dullness, you say the ah, long ah. You say very long ah, and as you count many long ahs, elongated sound ahs, consciously boost your inspiration, and as you say the long ahs, imagine the sound ah are going out through the 5 sense doors, like eye sense doors, ears, all the sense doors are cleared. It's like opening the windows. If you open the window in the east and the south and west, then the whole room will be lit. Likewise, as you sound long R's, imagine your sense doors are all wakeful. And do this again and again and again, any kinds of dullness will be remedied. Now, this technique of using R to remedy agitation, dullness, is not just for when you do single R meditation. Some of you may do sadhanas and you may do other meditation. You can use this R also to remedy dullness and agitation respectively. So that is the how to remedy the obstacles during the meditation. Now the post-meditationally, meaning the post-meditation, meaning when you're off the formal meditation, you should use the R. You should use the R as your awareness that all things are not created, and as soon as you realize the unbornness of all things, and you also realize their emptiness. So you basically say in your mind. Whatever's happening around you, usually things latch us. We lose ourselves. We lose ourselves to the object of our perceptions. But you as a Prajnaparamita single letter R meditator, you should use the R. The thing is not born, not created from its own side or by itself or independently. Even it is produced from cause, it is impermanent. So therefore, you should bring this awareness. It is your realization of its emptiness, its impermanence, and its unborn nature is simultaneous. When you mentally say or you might say verbally, depending how appropriate it is. Maybe in a meeting you might say but maybe not appropriate to the others. But you can say mentally and then and prevent yourself losing to the perception, losing to the feeling, losing to the opinion, reacting to danger of reacting to that can be prevented by bringing this unbornness of the reality and the emptiness of that reality. They are simultaneous. Very, very powerful. They can call this means to cut. You can cut the wrong views from snowballing. Now, how do you become more familiarized with this method? Is that one should entreat for the meaning of the subject, meaning that you should make an internal request to yourself to remember the meaning of no self, no phenomena that is truly existent. As soon as you remember this, your perception, your feelings, your emotions do not become solidified. They become almost pulverized. Furthermore, while being rewarded and criticized, meaning when when people criticize you, or you can hear someone criticize someone you love, usually we become completely caught up in the news. We say, why do you say that to my mother? But as soon as you hear them say that, or you see them say that, you should straight away remember and don't give rise to this perception being truly existing, nor need to react childishly. or even someone praises you and speaks very, very flowery words to please you, or someone you love, you do not develop attachment to them. You bring your awareness of the danger of getting attached to the worldly dharma of liking fame and disliking the opposite. Or when you become attached to something, or someone shows great attention to you, you might normally would like, and you're so enmeshed in their feelings, but you're able to see the emptiness of the feeling, impermanence of the feeling, as deep down in your heart. Of course, you will have to respond kindly towards them, but from wisdom point of view, you will not. So you might be saying mentally the ah, because not sometimes it wouldn't be appropriate socially to say ah. Well, maybe it will be appropriate because it saves a lot of trouble. But mentally say ah, and then make yourself prevent the attachment to praise, or prevent aversion to criticism. One should recollect the lack of independent or inherent, truly existing nature of the thing. And then they all do not truly exist. And then mentally say, ah. So this is what I'm saying. This profound single letter ah meditation has much more function post-meditationally. Formally in everyday life, of course, you have to do this. Like we are receiving teaching now, and then you will also practice combining this with the Heart Sutra and the R recitation, like 21 R recitation we discussed. So there are many different types of practice. So that's the first one. Second is the holding the mind with the use of the mudra. Mudra is hand gesture, yeah? So this also got two parts. First, how to pay your attention with the mudra, and second is how to remedy any of the obstacles, just as we discussed, because dullness or agitation, both in meditation or off meditation. So how do you practice? Is firstly consciously focus on the two ring fingers. Two ring fingers. Two ring fingers while forming the gesture of meditation. So meaning you should press your thumb at the root of two ring fingers, two ring fingers, and then place them on your lap just as in meditation. Yeah. So not put the hands on top of each other, just placing on the lap, not touching each other, but as in a meditation gesture, and then recite a long ah. Long ah. So pressing your root finger of the third ring finger by the thumb. It is impossible not to hold your mind, catch the mind, hold the mind. If you press the ring finger and say ah, then it will stop all your discursive thoughts. It will bring your attention to the ah. And then if one clearly meditate on the form of ah, the form of ah is the letter ah. Letter ah is this one. Have you seen the letter ah? Letter ah. I think this is Tibetan letter. Of course, some of you may have seen it. So this letter ah, yeah. Of course, it is painted in other colors, but single letter ah. So you need to visually focus on the single letter ah, and because ah is the the symbol of the sound R, when you're focusing on the visual letter R, as a symbol that the mind of sentient beings always is in a state of unfabricated activity. It abides in the form of letter R. When our mind is not fabricated, it's always staying in this perfect state of R. That when you say R, has amazing sigh of relief, that you can stop all the fabricated thoughts and stories and emotions if you just say ah. Okay? But sentient beings are not able to simply say ah and let things be for what it is without any contrivances. And therefore, sentient beings are often obscured by their conceptions, their feelings, their thoughts, their emotions, their perceptions, their volitions, their memories, their fear, their hope. All of these things causes what we call certain blood circulation that blocks what it calls blood fog. It says some kind of clogging of the blood happens in your nerve centers, particularly in the root of the ring fingers. And therefore it can cause the what you call some kind of cyst or growth or thickening of the blood in your various nervous system. And it can therefore make yourself stuck in a particular story or thoughts, emotions or views, and you don't want to move because you are internally, your blood has been taken the form of a frog. It's just a frog is just a symbol of obstacle, yeah, blood frog. We can call clogging of blood, you know. It may not be as big as a frog, but still it's clogging you. So by practicing in this way, what it will do is the wisdom air will arise in the form of syllable R. So because you're mentally saying, you're actually saying R and pressing your two ring fingers. By doing this, and you have to lustrously pay attention to the emptiness of everything, and your mind has to be very cognitively aware of the emptiness and impermanence and lack of inherent existence of things. And then the wisdom air will now rise in the form of syllable R, and it purifies your prana. Prana is life force, the subtle air, you know, the subtle air. And it enters your avaduti, which means central channel. The word avaduti means non-duality. Non-duality of the rasana and the lalana, because you are blocking the right and the left, and then you are preventing the duality. And so imagine that the sound R purifies the wisdom air, and wisdom air enters into purified life force air, and then it goes through this Brahmaranda, means central channel, and then it will produce a shift of your consciousness. People will shift their mind from stagnation, wrong views, ill will, resentment, poor me mentality. The idea is try to say no, not this thought, not this opinion. And you are liquefying by doing this pressing of the root ring fingers and saying the R, you are liquefying. Liquefying means you are thinning the blood. You're thinning the blood by saying R. And then as the karmic winds enter the nostrils, the syllable R will cause the dawning of the non-conceptualization of all outer and inner phenomena. So this is the second practice is by using this hand gesture and then paying the attention and then saying the ah. It is not suggesting that every one of our blood is so thickened like a frog clogging your blood circulation. But there's lots of hang-ups, a lot of fixations people have, and it is already in the they call issues in the tissues in English language. So the tissues in the blood vessels has been clogged by thinking phenomena or things are real, permanent, truly existing, independently existing. He did it to me. It's all my fault. These kind of fixation and not willing to change your opinions and feelings is clogging the blood, is thickening the blood. So this single letter A, which we have just discussed, is to remedy that, to thin the blood, and by reciting the A and doing this hand gesture. So that's the second one. Now, if you experience the dullness and the agitation, then it says that this practice will not experience agitation at all. If dullness occurs, place the mudra on the crown. So dullness, if you become very dull while you're sitting like this and saying ah, then you lift your two hand gesture like this on the crown, and then look up in the sky and snap the finger and say ah. Try to bring the two hands on top of the crown like this, and then you snap the finger and release like that and say ah, and look in the sky. Suspend your thought in the sky and consciously focus on the ah sound. This is to remedy dullness, okay? Or for that matter, you can finish each meditation doing that with this gesture, not just putting your hands on the lap continuously. If you want to finish that, you can always do that by bringing over the crown and snap the finger and then hands and then glare in the sky and think of ah. There's nothing but ah. Ah means no. Ah means no. It's not permanent. The feeling is not real. Feeling is emptiness. Emptiness is feeling. Feeling is no other than emptiness. Emptiness is no other than feeling. Yeah. So we read these things in the Heart Sutra, but here the single ah meditation, you can use it like this until you have a very conscious awareness to focus on the sound ah and the mudra and the gaze. All of these must correspond. Yeah. So now I will give the oral transmission of the Heart Sutra. This will of course give the translators a break also, and it doesn't take very long for me to read the Heart Sutra, but some of you may not have attended the previous session, so I'm going to give the lung or oral transmission of the Heart Sutra. Namo Arya Lai Gedan Ludan Nijinge Drugon Dada Me Genam Da Roa Gunje Dana Jas Tamje Gedo Dage Joden Jagrekedo Bhagavati Prajnaparamita Hiraya Pökedo Jumden Majera Yiparo to Chimenimbo. The Gedage Tubatu Jina Jumden Javoga Jago Bombore La Gelonke Gende Jamboda Janjusame Gende Jamboda Taju. There's a Jumden Samana Maja, Juyanam Yeding Lanibo Jozoya, there's a Janju Zamba Zamba Jumbo Baba Genesis. Wanjujen shera je paro de jamba sama jeba ni la number da yin bom bom ma da la ya ran yin je domba number da wo de ne sang ji ji du ce dan de ma jere bu janju zamba zamba jamba ba ba jene za wanju la de ge je me zo ri ge ba ma ga la la shera je paro de jamba sama jeba jeba de ba de ce la bra ja de ge je ma ba dan janju zamba zamba jamba ba ba jene za wanju ge ce dan de ma shera de po la Dege mezo sherebo rigi ma gala la shera je paro do jemba same je ba je bando bandi de dar number da wa je de bombanga wa de da la ran shin je domba number yang da bra ju da wo zu domba ni zu le domba ni je mai domba ni le je zu je mai no de yo zo wa dan de je dan number she ba na domba wo sherebo de dar chodam je domba ni de Senyi me ba ma je ba ma ga ba trima me ba trima dan rawa me ba kawa me ba sherebo Tedavena Dombanila Suome, Zorwame, Ndushime, Namarshibame, Mingme, Nawame, Name, Jeme, Lume, Yeme, Suome, Drame, Jeme, Rome, Rijame, Jeme, Do, Migi Kame, Ban, Iki Kame, Iki Namrishiben, Kamji Bardo, Medo, Mariba, Seba, Mebane, Gajime, Gaji, Seba Bardo, Medo. Tejindo Dunga Wadan, Kuyunjung Wadan, Gobadan, Lame, Ishime, Tobame, Madoba, Medo. Sharipo te dawana janju sempa namla topa miwe che shiraki parado shimpa Samo ndila tenjing nende semla dripa me drapa me de chincholo la shinde de nyangin lende wa tara chayando tuyusum namra shiba sanje tamche kya Shiraki parado shima samo jipa ndila tena lana me ba yanta pa ngambar zopa sanje so te dawana shiraki parado shiba nga rikpa shima nga Lana me nga me nyamba da nyambar shiba nga dunga tamche rabdo shiba shiba nga me zumbiran temra shiba chade shiraki parado shima nga me ba Tadya Taom Gade, Parasangade, Bodhi, Swaha, Sharibo, Chanju Samba Samba Jim. Namji, Teta Shiraki, Parado Jimba, Samola Prachawa, Dene Jumden, the Dingen, Intelligent, the Chanju Samba Samba Jimbo, Papa Jena, the Wanjo Lexo, Shea Chawajan, Lexo, Rigibo, Tetian, the Tedaki, Temba Tijan. Shiraki, Parado Jimba, Sama Jebra, Chate, Shivanam, Yajizo, Irango. 좀 된데 되게 가자네 대단하면 잘한다 대보다 전주 선바 좀 보바지는 원주다 탐제당 되면 고대다다 라다 메다 라마인데 저자지변 지대 이런 좀 된데 송발라 옴바라도 바바시라지 바로도 전부 닝바조 소 So now just can you just practice the mentally said what you just reflected and try to subjectively try to bring a pristine awareness. The mind is no other than the sound you're making. Yeah. So we'll pause here a few minutes to each of you practice the mentally saying because there are many different ways of saying the firstly being able to say long mental and then alternate with short mental Say a long mental and short mental First, being aware of the long being long, short being short, but both being R's. So the saying long and saying short is a method of placing your mind to focus on. And the way that short or long is to make you remember everything is empty of true existence. So do a long mental and then short and become aware that long is long, short is short, but both equally empty. So do that for a little while, just for 1 minute. Now we will do whispering R. Whispered a long R. As you whispered the long R, which is merely audible to your ears but not to others, when you say the long R whispering, imagine the sound that is vibrating into your throat, as even though you're whispering, ascends through your central channel and goes up to your crown, and it goes through your crown, and it opens, it exits through that. So do the again. We will do this for a minute, just many long R's as possible, and imagine the awareness that R is sound that is whispering R. Even though you are whispering, is sound is rising up through your central channel and goes through your crown chakra, and compare very lustrous attention to it, to know everything is not what appears, they are not truly existing, they are impermanent. Now the third is the say the long R gutturally. Gutturally means with closed mouth, but only humming it into your throat, and then the long and loud guttural sound R with closed mouth, and ascends. The sound vibrates into your central channel and also goes through your central channel. And also do this. Now guttural is audible, so obviously you have to make the sound audible gutturally. No, gutturally means mouth closed, but maybe just humming into your throat, and that would also echo a little bit through your nose. Now the fourth is verbal. Having done the mental, whispering, guttural. Now the fourth one is
И
actually saying
четвертый
soft R. You have to start with soft R, start with R soft audibly, and then slowly, gradually becoming louder and louder, until as if the sound that you're making is heard and is experienced and know and understand by all sentient beings. So let's do that verbal soft R, getting louder and louder. Just do that twice. Now do the verbal one, but start with the loud and long ah, and then gradually becoming softer and softer until it becomes mute. Do that also 2 times. So now let's practice the 5th one, which is the combining the pressing your ring finger with the thumbs and then put on your lap in the meditation gesture, and then say the ah, say the ah, and then after you say the long ah, and then as you pay attention to the lustrous, clear and pristine awareness of the emptiness of all things, imagine your wisdom air enters into the pranic air and purifies, and it therefore it thins your blood circulation, and thereby the awareness become very sharp, and then you release the gesture on top of your head by snapping the finger, and then look in the sky, that the vast as empty as everything. The sky is all things, external, internal. So do that just once. So that will do as a short practice there. Now we come to the 4th main practice, and this is mainly you can do for yourself and for the sake of others. 2 parts. The first is doing for your own benefit, and second is for the practice benefit other people's, that you wanted to do this single hour meditation for some people you really are worried about, upset about, whatever they're fearing about, whatever things you can do for others. But first you do for yourself. This has 4 practices. First is generation of your bodhicitta mind, and so that before you practice, we always do it for, even when we do for ourselves, we always do for ourselves. But here, even you're doing for yourself, you don't do it for yourself. You do it for the sake of other sentient beings. Even if you're doing for yourself, you're doing this so that you can be of benefit and value to other sentient beings. If you're less grasping and less attached and practicing single hour meditation, you will be much more gentler and kinder and generous to other people, won't you? So therefore you generate the bodhicitta motivation that I'm going to do this meditation to repel and reject my selfish concerns, and I'm going to do this for the sake of others. So if you keep having this mind stream that I will do this for others, if you keep doing this, it will have a profound benefit. So that's the generation of the bodhicitta, first one. Second one is washing. There are 3 types of washing: dry washing, wet washing, and meditative washing. Dry washing is as soon as you rise up in the morning, you probably will go to the toilet, and you can urinate, you can defecate, and you can clean your nose, clean your face, clean your eyes, brush your teeth. Of course, you do this all the time, don't you? But now you do it a little bit more consciously, and then recite the Heart Sutra. So you're trying to recite Heart Sutra in first thing in the morning. That is called the dry washing. The second is the wet washing. Wet washing is the rise up in the morning. This is a special water ritual. Pour water into your cupped hands. Pour water from your tap into your cupped hands, and then put the water straight from your cupped hands to your mouth. And then secondly, swallow some water from your cupped hands. Yeah. So pour water from into your cupped hands, and pour water in your mouth through the cupped hands, and swallow the water. Then wash your hands, and so this is washing your negative karma of the body. Okay. Second is wash your face with water, and of course rinse your mouth and so on. And this is to purify your speech. So that's the ritual of washing your body and speech. The third is by having purified the past misdeeds, and make a little promise. Today, I'm not going to do any of them. I'm not going to do ill will. I'm not going to do grasping. I'm not going to be thinking it's his fault entirely. It was seen that everything is interdependent. Nothing is truly existing. Promise to practice the right view in the future. So that is purifying your mind. So this is called wet wash. Wet washing body, wet washing the speech, wet washing the mind. It's very, very short but very profound practice. So you have very profound reason to be here tonight if you know how to do this. Everybody must wash their face and mouth, but they don't have any awareness. They're only doing the hygienic thing, physical hygienic thing. They're not doing emotionally or cognitively hygienically. So therefore, this you do with amazing awareness. You're brushing teeth or cupping water or whatever. You do it with awareness. So these are the first 2 washings, dry wash and wet wash. The third wash is called meditative wash. So how do you do that? Meditate on a single R letter, this letter R I showed you before, in your heart chakra. You just have to close your eyes. Maybe it helps you to visualize R in your heart. And then imagine that your single R in your heart emanates, radiates many R's, The one R emanates many R's, countless R's, and then these countless R's covers all your internally, externally, from your marrows of the bones, all your skin, everything is covered internally and externally with R's. And what it does is that it totally, radiate, because every single letter R is light. Every single letter is R, and in form of light, it is completely incinerates all of your tendencies, habits, behaviors, syndromes, certain traits, emotional traits, trauma, sadness, fear, anxiety, all of them become inconceivable, become disappeared, unobjectified. We can translate as inconceivable or become unobjectified. They don't exist. They are totally disappear, vanish. So this is samadhi wash, meditative wash. You visualize single eye in your heart, and then it just emanates. Then all your body, inside, out, are completely inundated by the R's, and it removes and unsit all your karma, habits, feelings, fears, bad memories, attachment, clinging, hang-ups or wrong views, bad attitudes, all of these from matter to consciousness, all are completely unobjectifiable. In the Heart Sutra, they say from eye consciousness all the way to the mental consciousness, to the sense objects, the sense organs, sense consciousness, all are empty. So how do you empty it here? That inundates. You become flooded by many R's. It's like you're covered in mosquitoes, inside, outside, and you are completely finished. So here you have these countless R's, inside and out, and every single physical, emotional, cognitive problems are all incinerated, and they are traceless, they are vanish. See, this is meditation on emptiness. So that is the second meditation, which is the washing. Now third is the meditating yourself as the mother, the Prajnaparamita, the goddess Prajnaparamita. So this is the why we need the Prajnaparamita empowerment. That's why we're doing tomorrow night. So third is meditating yourself in the form of the mother. So here yourself, here the particular iconography of the Prajnaparamita is slightly different from the empowerment, but that doesn't matter. So either any form of Prajnaparamita meditation will do. So you instantly visualize yourself in the form of goddess, the Prajnaparamita, the deity. The deity Prajnaparamita is the wisdom discerning emptiness. And so the color of yourself as a goddess Prajnaparamita is a burnished gold color. And one is seated in a lotus seat that represents non-attachment. You are not seated as seated. You are standing posture of the goddess Prajnaparamita is that you are in your ever readiness to come out to benefit sentient beings in the wandering abyss of samsara. Your first right hand is holding a sword, symbolizing cutting the net of affliction of sentient beings, and the second hand holds with a thumb and ring finger prayer beads, signifying that all sentient beings are removed one by one from samsara. So that's the first two right and left, two right hand. Then the first left hand is in meditation posture. Second left hand holds a Prajnaparamita's book, Perfection of Wisdom. So what it becomes is, here is the third meditation. You generate yourself, meditate yourself in the form of Goddess Prajnaparamita. And then So that's the third meditation. The fourth one is now reading the mother. Reading the mother means reading the Heart Sutra. Reading the Heart Sutra. How do you do? Then recite the mother, meaning Heart Sutra, yourself in the form of four-armed goddess Prajnaparamita, and then recite the Heart Sutra, starting from the thus I've heard all the way until just before the mantra. Yeah. Then all of a sudden yourself, the goddess Prajnaparamita, vanishes, and visualize the letter, syllable letter R on your tongue. And then think that the R also vanishes on your tongue. And then you recite the R, long R 21 times. Long R 21 times. And think that this clearly illuminates the birthless state of all phenomena. That means that all phenomena, inside to outside, from big to small, and samsara nirvana, all phenomena are realized to be empty as you recite the R 21 times. While you recite R 21 times, long R, you meditate on that. This is the meaning of what is stated as inconceivable and inexpressible. Because it is said in the one verse chanted before Heart Sutra, it says, inconceivable, inexpressible is the Prajnaparamita. And so on. And then after that, you then read the rest of the Heart Sutra. It is said, if you recite the Heart Sutra in this way, with the 21 R in the middle, it is said that even one recitation surpasses the merit of reading the 100,000 Prajnaparamita recited, even by a person who has committed very heinous karma, will purify their negativities. Very powerful. So that's how you do the read the Heart Sutra with the 21 R's in the middle for yourself. Now the second is how to do how do you do this meditation for the sake of others? For the sake of others. Now the first part of the preparation is same. Reciting the Heart Sutra and all of that is same. But what you do is you need to pronounce the R, 11 R on each of the 10 directions. First you start with staring in the space above. So you stand up, and then it probably is better if it's outdoor when you do this one. You just stand up with your legs straddled a bit, and then look up in the sky, and stare in the sky, and then as you say R, means no, means not permanent, not truly existing, not inherently existing, and so on. So R, contemplate the meaning of unbornness, meaning that nothing is created, nothing is independently created. All extraterrestrial beings, all sentient beings living above, everyone who's in the flying birds, and then the gods and demigods and everyone over there, as you say the R 11 times, firstly, there happen four things. Firstly, they all hear the word R, and they all know everything is not created, truly exists. Nothing is truly exists. Secondly, they will understand the meaning of emptiness. Thirdly, it becomes meaningful, all of them, because they no longer hold on to their feelings, perception, volition, actions at all. Fourthly, the meaning becomes this meaning will become for them immutable, that the meaning becomes completely, it never goes away. So you, with this in mind, you say 11 times for the benefit of all sentient beings living above. Then, second, you do for the sentient beings who are living below. So that means when you straddle your legs, you must look downwards and then say the 11 times for the benefit of sentient beings who live underground or subterranean. Hell beings, hungry ghosts, all the animals and sentient beings live underground. So that is, you do the, that's the, so the law, again said 11 hours. And likewise, you do that with the rest of the 4 cardinal directions, starting with the east, you face east, and then do the same 11 times. Then you do turn right, go to south, and then you do for the sentient beings living in the south. Then you turn right, go to the sentient beings in the west, and then you turn right, do that to sentient beings on the north 11 times. And then likewise you do with the southeast, and then the northwest, and then southwest, northwest, and the northeast respectively, all 10 directions with 11 hours for each of the sentient beings in each of those 10 directions. And you're doing this firstly so that they all hear this emptiness, lack of inherent existence. They come to know the form is emptiness, their body is empty of self, their feeling is empty of self, the perception is empty of permanence, and so on. And so you do this with a great mixture of feeling of kindness and wisdom. First one. Secondly, imagine they all understand the emptiness. They all understand the Buddha's teachings. What a great accomplishment that you've been able to teach all sentient beings in all 10 directions to understand emptiness. Thirdly, they all become meaningful. It's like they have won the lotto of realizing the wisdom and the truth. It becomes very meaningful for them. They have listened so many lectures. They've taken so many notes. They've written many books. It never made any meaning like that. But by hearing this sound they become so meaningful. Remember in the Heart Sutra, it says, it is the mantra that pacifies all sorrows. It says, it is the mantra that equals the unequal mantra. It is a mantra that past, future, and present Buddhas are all meditating. So, therefore, your utterance of this makes it meaningful for all sentient beings in each direction. And fourthly, it becomes meaningful, the most meaningful help, most meaningful gift, most meaningful benefit that you can do is let them understand the emptiness. So with this, you do this recitation of 110 times, meaning 11 times to each of the 10 directions, which is very good because you're doing it in a nature, maybe up on the hill or somewhere quiet. It's very beautiful. You wouldn't believe how much it will help. Every time you say or those 11 R's from each, you should also think that this R's also sound goes through your ears, goes through your eyes, goes through your nose, goes through your skin, goes through your all 5 sense doors, and all your sense doors are completely empty of any tendencies, wrong views, fixated memories, and so on. So with this in mind, you can do the recitation of the R to each of the 10 directions in sequence. By chanting in this way, facing each of the 10 directions, you will be reciting 11 R's on each, then it becomes 110 R's. This is much better than killing or gathering or controlling others for the sake of profit and fame. So then, instead of resorting to any worldly dramas, litigation, retaliation, and all kinds of wasteful activities, one should do this out of good motivation, of compassion, and most importantly with the right view. It will be far more profitable and beneficial than anything else. For both yours and others' benefit others, do this with bodhicitta motivation. Even if you do lots of single R meditation, always with bodhicitta motivation, and then meditate without any reference. Don't face East thinking you have someone in the East you have trouble with. You don't objectify individuals, okay? That's very dangerous. You're not allowed to do that. So it says, do this without any reference point. It's meditation of referencelessness. And at the end of this practice, dedicate the merit. If you do it like this, you will attain Buddhahood in this very lifetime. Where it has been taught? It is taught in the chapter of Sadaparudita. Sadaparudita is ever-crying bodhisattva. Have you heard of this? Ever-crying bodhisattva. Yeah, you can say ah and cry. Very good. Ah and cry, plight of sentient beings. So there is a chapter on ever-crying bodhisattva in the 20-verse Prajnaparamita text. In it says you should do this meditation, okay? So therefore, Parilotsawa, who brought this from India, is compiled this together for the benefit of people like you and me. It is also taught in the Mahayana Sutra, requested by Suvikrita Vikramin. That's a particular name of a sutra requester. Now the fifth and last one is to how to guard this practice. How to guard this practice. As we say that we want to benefit sentient beings, to protect both your own body and bodies of others, there are 3 points. So firstly, outer emptiness is unsurpassable armor of emptiness. Firstly, in order to guard this practice, you should meditate on the emptiness of all things outside, Emptiness all outside means all the sense objects and all the things out in the world. Furthermore, since all outer objects, such as the 5 elements, like earth, water, fire, wind, and space, and maybe physical enemies, maybe physical illnesses, and physical problems, and all your habitual, external ones, these are all transient. None of the external things are permanent or inherent, truly existing. Which are all transient, are none other than emptiness. All external things are emptiness. There's nothing to be accomplished by hoarding them, getting them, or not having them. Even you don't have anything external, it's not anything, it's empty. If you have everything, it's also nothing, but it's empty. So by saying ah 21 times, imagine all outer phenomena disappears by themselves, leaving nothing that could interfere with you. So you just empty all your problems, all objects of desire, attachment, whatever, competition, all of these things are empty. So this is to say the R 21 times. Whenever you think something is out there, you have to run away from, you're escaping, you have to hide, you wish they don't see you, all these things, you should meditate, do this R 21 times, and imagine all things that are external disappears. You completely brand new emptiness. You don't have anything on the slate. Your slate is completely wiped out. So that's the first one, the emptiness of outside. Second is emptiness of all inner things. Inner things are all your 5 aggregates, yeah? Form aggregates, feeling aggregates, perception aggregates, volition aggregates, your tendency, your karmic propensities, all these traits, all these habits, people are stuck in them, all their mental consciousness, all these 5 aggregates are internal, yeah? And your sense organs, eye sense organs, ear sense organ, nose sense organ, tongue sense organ, body sense organ, and as well as sense consciousness, all the 18 constituents all become empty. When you say ah 21 times, you say ah, and then during that 21 utterances ah, you slowly visualize the emptiness of all your psychophysical entities. As even grasping mind is emptiness. Even the grasping, the consciously grasping onto me or mine, or I, me, mine, she, her, doing, all of these are empty. And so therefore, meditate on the emptiness of even your mind, even your attitudes, even your memories, even your narratives of stories you tell. You no longer will tell you that anymore, because you have seen the emptiness of everything inside you. So that's the second one. Third one is the emptiness of emptiness. This is just to make sure that you're not attached to emptiness itself. Means that even emptiness itself is not something you assert. You don't even say everything is emptiness. You say ah. You just say no. Don't say that either. By saying ah 21 times, contemplate that the emptiness itself is free of any assertion or a thing that you will develop grasping to. So don't say the ah meditation to other people. That is so great. I'm sure you will, but like I am doing it. I'm breaking the rule here. Our meditation is fantastic. You should do our meditation. So you should, of course, for the sake of education, I can say this so that you don't say. Oh, did you cover your mouth? This refers to the great emptiness, which doesn't fall into the extremes of nothingness. So this is not a trifling emptiness like these 3 types of emptiness outside, emptiness inside, and emptiness. These 3 are not the trifling emptiness like the one of the 4 impossible things, like rabbit's horn. Rabbit's horn is empty. You can't see rabbit with a horn. But even there is no horn in the rabbit, but means nothing. Or flower in the sky, or hair on the tortoise shell, or a barren woman's child. These all four are also examples of emptiness, but these four emptiness got no meaning. So the emptiness that we are talking about, emptiness of outside things, emptiness of inside things, and emptiness of emptiness is very profound. All perceived phenomena are not empty because they were stopped. It doesn't mean that things have stopped appearing and then become empty. They don't even exist to appear, let alone having to stop. Not empty because they have been destroyed, or empty because they do not exist. So there you understand them, the nature of themselves is empty of inherent existence. All perceived phenomena are empty by their own nature. They are only merely designated as a cup, or light as a light, or microphone as a microphone. Because they're empty by nature, we are merely labeling them. If it wasn't the merely label, all perceived phenomena are empty from their own side. There is no microphone from the microphone's point of view. So therefore, it is an emptiness that wisdom itself recognizes as the very nature of reality as it is. And this awareness, which arises as the very nature of reality, this awareness itself knows the nature of reality as it is. So that concludes the writing on the single R meditation according to Sachen Kunga Nyingbo. Sachen Kunga Nyingbo is attributed because he himself received this teaching directly from Pari Lotsawa. Pari Lotsawa went to India, remember, and then brought these many collection of teachings, so that's why these single R meditation instructions we have just gone through. We have gone through just explaining this text, teaching on this, but of course it requires you to learn to incorporate the Heart Sutra meditation with the R meditation. You have now seen how the recitation of this the Heart Sutra can be combined as a formal meditation. Most people read Heart Sutra by having heard the merit of reading it, merit of writing it, merit of memorizing it or printing it. People do that. It's even more meritorious if people meditate on the meanings of the Heart Sutra. The meaning of Heart Sutra is empty of inherent existence. Therefore, the wisdom of emptiness is the ultimate deity. Deity means friend. If you have a good friend who's reliable, you will do anything for you, and then you have very precious friend. But knowledge is highest. But the knowledge that one you know, the more it become a burden to you, is not a wisdom. But emptiness is the wisdom deity. Wisdom is the deity. Ultimate wisdom is the deity. So that is the meaning of is emptiness, the wisdom. But more usually wisdom is very difficult. You have to read many books or something. Here you just remember Ah. Ah means no. No in the sense what you see, what you think, what you feel, all do not actually is real and permanent or inherently existing. So you need to consciously and lustrously, with great sense of inner serenity, you need to either mentally say Ah, or whisperingly say Ah, or gutturally, or verbally. or with the gestures. So there are as many as 8 ways of saying the ah, whether it's mental, short or long, whisperingly saying the ah, slowly rising up when you say ah in your throat, and slowly going up through the central channel and then goes out through your crown chakra, and then the ah is ejected into the universe, and the whole universe become covered in ahs. They all become empty. Or you can say the same ah 21 times. Your kidneys, your lung, your bone, your body, your blood problem, your heart, lung problem, all of this also you can just say the ah 21 times. Imagine they all become completely empty of inherent existence, let alone lung with the problem, let alone kidney with the problem. You don't even have kidney. The problem is you have kidney. You just have to have the emptiness of the kidney. Emptiness of kidney owner would be best. So you can use the ah as the wisdom deity. Now, actually all perfection of wisdom teaching is to have the ultimate wisdom as your deity. Constantly remember the emptiness. But most people don't have this merit or wisdom to know how to do the ah meditation. And also people find it very difficult. So therefore the wisdom of ah has become deified, and it becomes the sound ah. Sound ah, sort of the soft, soft inaudible ah, mental ah become whispered ah become guttural ah becomes verbal ah, and then the verbal ah becomes visible ah, syllable ah, and then visible ah transform into goddess Prajnaparamita, and Prajnaparamita is holding the book Perfection Wisdom. So you can see how all the deity yoga in Vajrayana is manifestation of Prajnaparamita, wisdom of emptiness in the form of deities. So therefore it is very crucial for people doing Vajrayana deity yoga meditation to understand the Prajnaparamita teachings in general, and particularly Heart Sutra, and essentially single ah meditation. So those people particularly who don't have lots of formal time to sit and meditate, they can use the ah in everyday situation, whatever you see, whatever you hear. Usually we straight away get hooked by what you heard, what you saw. We become like a fish that has been caught by the fisherman's, bait. We get always seized by our perceptions. We think the perceived is identical to the perception. We don't see the perception as emptiness. So here now, each time you see, you mentally say, ah. Perception is emptiness. Emptiness is perception. So you don't even have to say that. Perception is emptiness, emptiness is perception, perception no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than perception. You don't have to say that those very long phrases, sentence. You just say, ah. And you just bring the awareness. The saying ah is the method, that meaning is emptiness. Also a feeling of sadness, feeling of joy. People get drowned and get excited into them. But one can also use the ah. Each time you feel, there's a fear coming in you, you say ah. And at times you can't say ah audibly because they are in front of people, but you can say mentally you can say ah. You know? You don't have to open your mouth if it looks bit you just mentally say ah. You can see how serene and pristine your mind is. So because you're remembering impermanence, you're remembering emptiness, you're remembering lack of inherent existence. So lack of inherent existence is negative, impermanence is negative, no self is negative, anitya, anatma, it's all started with ah. And that's why it's called ah is the most sacred syllable. And there's no one in no cultural, linguistic background, you need to learn how to say ah. You don't have to learn French to say ah. You don't have to learn Tibetan to say ah. You don't have to learn Sanskrit to say ah. You don't have to go to school to learn ah. Even the dumb person say ah. Even the crow says ah. So ah is very profound meditation. You can, the more you understand its meanings, more you can feel. So ah is very, very profound. Of course, today this is only, we are only able to give you teachings on this, but hopefully there will be another session sometime in the future where we can learn to do the practice. And you should, based on what you heard tonight's teaching, should also learn to combine this single letter ah meditation with the Heart Sutra or without the Heart Sutra. It will greatly boost your already existing practices. You should not be feeling burdened by many sadhanas, but you should simplify your sadhanas, not the quantity of the sadhanas, but the quality of deity yoga meditation has to be the wisdom orientation. Without bodhicitta, there is no wisdom. Without renunciation, there is no bodhicitta. The renunciation, the bodhicitta, and the right view are the three indispensable part of the Buddhist path. Renunciation from the single ah point of view is the renunciation of the wrong view. Bodhicitta from the single ah meditation point of view is compassion to sentient beings who do not know emptiness of things, and therefore you feel pain in your heart. How wonderful it will be if they too come to know the emptiness of self, emptiness of object to have ill will with. And because of that, your bodhicitta and renunciation are both complementary to the realization of ultimate bodhicitta, which is emptiness. So emptiness is not nihilistically denying the importance of renunciation or bodhicitta, but rather emptiness is that which prevents the danger of not renouncing the wrong view. People renounce home or some jobs or householders' duties, but that's not renunciation. That's pseudo-renunciation. The authentic renunciation is with the right view. That's why Shanti Deva says that Buddha taught all of these other perfection of wisdom practices like generosity and discipline, patience and diligence and meditation, all of these for the sake of the sixth one, perfection of wisdom. There's lots of people who have very fit legs and fit limbs and very strong body, but what's the point of them if they're blind? So the sixth perfection of wisdom, the Prajnaparamita, is the eye. We need the wisdom to understand the practices and the problems which all lack inherent existence. All our obstacles in life are brought by the blindness, the spiritual blindness. People have fit arms and legs, but they are blind. They are generous. The parents do heaps of things for the children. They shower with the gifts from the early days of birth till they become adult. Yet the parental grasping to attachment and control and therefore sometimes abusive language has completely poisoned the children. Children want nothing to do with some parents. Why? Because they were blind parents. They're feeding with hands. They're running up and down to do everything for the children's upbringing, education, food, clothing. But because there was so much grasping with the wrong view and a resentment they gave so much, and having to control and possess the other as one's children, has produced many blind parents. Hence, they never had the much benefit of having children, only sorrow after sorrow after sorrow. So for parenting or being whatever you are in everyday life, it's very important to understand the wisdom. Wisdom is the most highest deity. In the past, they used to call in India nectar. Did you find nectar, they call it? Nectar they're referring to is the wisdom. Lots of people get knowledge. They have double degrees. They want another degree in this. Their knowledge is increasing, but their wisdom is no sign of wisdom. So the wisdom is that perfects the problems, that sees the emptiness of the problem. There is no problem that is permanent. There is no suffering that is independently produced by anyone. There is no suffering that is inherently existing. But yet we mistakenly think otherwise. So that's why we have to them. We have to reject them. Means negate them. So next time when you have some thoughts, feelings, you can mentally catch them and say straight away, say mentally, You might say whisperingly, sometimes you might say gutturally, saying, It might be necessary to say gutturally when you're alone. When you're with people, you mostly say mentally and whisperingly. You can see someone again goes on barking at you, blaming at you, and nagging at you or nagging at somebody. Previously you will react as their barking is truly existing. That now you mentally say and feel compassion to them. yourself staying in meditative state of lack of inherent existence of the problem, but yet they are not in that state of knowing. So they become the cause for your wisdom to manifest. So therefore you are compassionate towards them, but for yourself there is nothing to suffer with, because the problem is not truly existing. Problem is not independently existing, not permanently existing, not inherently existing. So you say, it's not truly there. It's all my projection. It's all my fixation, my opinions. They don't truly mean that. They don't even know what they're saying. They say that, but no, it's not what they're saying that. They don't know what they're saying it. If somebody tells you and scrambles what they said, it will be helping you, So you are, Goddess Prajnaparamita holding a vajra or a sword. What is the sword of Manjushri? All those martial arts people holding a sword, They probably came from the Buddhist symbol of sword, but Buddhists never use sword. It's the sharpness of the emptiness discerning mind is the real sword. Is the and pulverizer of the wrong view is the real vajra, real thunderbolt. So this is why all the Vajrayana deities has hasta chinha. Hasta chinha in Sanskrit means hand symbols. Means what the deities hold, yeah? Like Avalokiteshvara hold Padma, lotus. Vajrapani holds Vajra. Manjushri holds the sword. Goddess Prajnaparamita holds the book and also a sword. But they never use the sword as a sword. It's the sharpness of the mind. When you hear someone scream at you, you need to hear the emptiness of the sound. In the Heart Sutra, it says there's no sound. It doesn't mean there is no sound. It means there's no truly existing sound. There's no unitarily existing sound. There's no permanent sound. It doesn't deny that you have heard sound. But what sound? Sound of emptiness. Sound of your mental imputation. If you speak Greek, and somebody says a cursing word in Greek, you might hear it. But other person saying, "What did you say, my dear?" See, emptiness. Says there's nothing in the language that inherently means one, if you don't know the language. So there's no sound in the sound. There is echo of emptiness. And so mentally say, or you just say, you verbally don't say if it's not appropriate to the people. You have to be very courteous. People, now the single meditators have lots happening, He's not saying anything, but he's saying a lot. He said mentally many hours. And all the problems become scrambled by the invisible sword of Prajnaparamita. So, it's very profound. That's what it says. If you do the meditation and use it in this way, they will purify all your sins and obscurations. It's more meritorious to do the single meditation with this lustrous understanding of emptiness than reading the long version of the text Prajnaparamita. So with this, I will first do the oral transmission of the repelling the obstacles in the Heart Sutra. When you do the Heart Sutra, there is a practice called repelling the obstacles. So I wanted to read this one. This is doing the swearing in the name of the by the gurus of Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, and Goddess Prajnaparamita, and pay homage to them so that you speak the words of truth that in the past, great king of the gods, Shakra, when he was fighting war with the demigods, he could not win them. In the morning he win, in the afternoon he lose. So he always losing. So Buddha taught him, in order to overcome the obstacles, repel the real obstacles, that he should meditate and do the swearing in the name of the triple gem and the goddess Prajnaparamita, and then imagine your right hand is the sun, left hand is the moon, and then you swear by the name of them, and then try to imagine that you see the emptiness of the physical violence that others are causing, verbal abuse or slanderous language they're using, or mental ill will or malice or anger they are targeting towards you. You think of emptiness of them and do not let yourself become an easy victim of what you think other people are saying. So for the benefit of them and you meditate on the emptiness and then swear by the name of the goddess Prajnaparamita, and then you clap your hands 3 times if you know how to do this, repelling on the obstacles. So this is a profound practice. So I will just do the oral transmission of that, which just takes only less than a minute. O namari la gedan ludan nujenge tugunda da me genanda ro gunye dana jaza tamje gedo da ge chodon do namala mala jan zalo sanje la jan zalo chela jan zalo gende la jan yum jema jera ji baro de jembala jan zalo denam la cha wala den dagi dembe ze nam rubar yo je zeng la on ba je jin yum jema jera ji baro de jembala Zamayi lazim ye kadın cibala denen düdüğü cenla soba chen doba min düme çodun chen doba de yinu dagi yimceme jiragi parado de ceme zamayi lazim ye kadın cibala denen düdüğü cenla dagi pardo cibadın çocuğu min düme çodum ce papa konjozum ye gayeden be dadan yido chen doba cece mebri cece şivacı Rabdu şivra cece tabdan japdan tabadan tecenge vancun simcenam nere Dobelenan Zobel Janju Jubala Chedan Hange Savaya Pardo Jubatam Nyevare Shivan Zadozo Datamje Chambe Samdante Mendu Chong and Batamje Shinden Guria Zawangeri Donda Jaji Shivada Mendu Nebe Gendan Ravadan Temperature Buzonzo Traji de Janding del Jo. So that concludes the lung and oral transmission of repelling the obstacles. So with this, we have now concluded the short teaching on the single meditation of the goddess Prajnaparamita meditation. This is mainly for people to not only encourage to go deeper into the use of the Heart Sutra, but also try to make shortened version of the single the Heart Sutra meditation into the single not only in formal meditation, but also in everyday life situation when you're seeing things, when you're thinking thoughts, you're feeling situations, instead of being drowned in the feelings, drowned in the perception, you're so certain what you saw is real, you're so certain what somebody said is really hurting you, meant for you. Instead of seeing them, you just are them. And then you will be able to see the impermanence, see the emptiness, see the illusoriness of all of them. So the has a very profound use of the meditation. So I hope that you will all be able to not just do this practice alone, but boost your other sadhana and Vajrayana deity yoga meditation, because all the deity yoga meditation, you have to use the emptiness meditation. And emptiness of true existence, emptiness of permanence, emptiness of inherent existence, they are not for the sake of having a deity, Most people think they need deity as like a theistic God. Theistic people practice God out there. People profoundly misunderstand Tibetan Buddhism having many gods. We don't have any gods. All of the deity-like appearances are a skillful portal to understand emptiness. They're all form of emptiness that has been introduced by giving empowerment of compassion, of wisdom, of fearlessness, of long life, all these things of healing. But these are all emptiness. So Vajrayana is skillfully attracting people into the Dharma, the worldly people, by promising to fulfill their worldly wishes, but in the end, the main purpose is to teach them emptiness. But first you teach them, it's like first you point the finger to the moon. People don't look at the moon, they look at the finger. But then later on, you tell them, don't look at my finger, look at the moon. What I'm pointing is the moon, not my finger. Likewise, all the deities are the fingers. But the deities are all pointing to the emptiness. When people don't know this, they say, oh, this is my deity, this is his deity, this is Sakya deity, this is Kagyu deity, this is Nyingma deity. Oh, gosh, give me a break, These people don't understand the purpose of the deities. Purpose of the deity is not to worship another god. Teaching of emptiness is the highest and only deity. But because worldly people need deity with eyes and nose and hand carrying something, so they all like to have that. They like to have the paraphernalia. But they don't want to understand emptiness. But of course, we live in the conventional dualistic world, and as a result of these very skillful visual art, or music, or sound, or performance, Zen mandala, all of these things are a skillful dispensation for people to understand the wisdom of emptiness. Whether the Zen mandala is created out of thousands and thousands of different particles of the sand, yellow, red, blue, mixture of different colors, and they take long time by 4 months or more to create the Zen mandala, and the people say, wow, and they think wonderful, And as soon as the Zen mandala created, and then you know what happened when they do the dissolution? When they sweep the Zen mandala, you know what people say? Ah! They get a shock. They realize, no! They thought it was permanent, but it's not permanent, it's impermanent. So likewise, if you spend 2 hours doing a sadhana, you take lots of effort to make the refuge, bodhicitta, and accumulation of merit to attain rupakaya, accumulation wisdom to attain dhammakaya. Then you do the generation of yourself in the form of deity, from seed syllable into lotus petal and flowers and a moon disk. On top of that, you visualize the seed syllable of the deity. Then the seed syllable deity radiate lights and honor the Buddhas, heal the sentient beings. The rays of light absorb back into the seed syllable, and then you instantly become the deity. And then you read the iconographical symbolism of the deity. Can you hear me? It looks like I'm so anyway, so the deity is created, and then receive empowerments, make offerings, praise, and then receive empowerments, and then recite mantra, after spending all of that, then in the end you do the dissolution, you know. Ah! After all that visualization, another ah. Likewise, in your everyday life situation, in the morning you might go and open the shop, you know, sweep the floors, dust your shops, makes look very bright and so on. And then towards the evening, then the shop closes again. So everything creates, dissolve, create, dissolve, create, dissolve. Looks like real but impermanent. Looks like up but going down. Looks like coming but they're going. So there was really no coming, no going, let alone remaining. Your life would have had so many comings and goings that is you couldn't even keep up that track. What is coming, what is going? Nothing really. In the end, really, there's nothing that truly exists. So I would like to conclude here by saying that these teachings are profound. Of course, I would like you to, having paid this much attention tonight, if you were to use some of these techniques, simple though very profound, very cut-through benefit, it will greatly pacify all your sorrows, all your wrong views. It's the highest mantra than any other mantra. This is knowledge mantra, this is retention of knowledge mantra, this is the wisdom mantra, and this almost peerless mantra, not just saying but knowing how to reject the wrong views. That is the real mantra. Mantra means protecting your mind from the wrong conceptions. What is the wrong conception? Grasping I as body, my feeling as real and permanent. These are the wrong conceptions. People always talking about the kind of a line of story, what they are going through, how they have suffered. They have never have intended to see them as impermanent or change their views about it. They are suffering from past wrong views. They're still stuck in that past wrong views. They have no intention to change that. So all sufferings caused by wrong view, from the front toward the perfection of wisdom, suffering's origin of suffering is wrong view, not sufferings. There is no truly existing sufferings. So the wrong view is also don't truly exist. It's very good. Let alone perfection wisdom that truly exists. Let alone one who knows the perfection wisdom that truly exists. Everything has to be odd. You know? I've done this workshop a few times here in Australia, where we spend quite a lot of time doing the hours and actually doing the 110 hours outside, and everybody says, they've been saying so many things, like they were as if they were at the dentist. So when you go to the dentist, you say, you know. Hopefully it has solved all your dental problems. But this will solve all your mental problems, not just dental. Emotional problems. Because it is the mantra that pacifies all sorrows, not just dental. So hopefully that your comprehension and your practice of Dharma in general, and particularly your sadhana practice, will be boosted with this understanding of the single letter R meditation, which we have discussed tonight. So I would like to thank everyone, technical and administrators of Sakya Friends, for making this available, and all of your amazing dedication to give your time and attention to listen to these teachings. Of course, I'm only a conduit. Myself is a student of these teachings. Last 3-4 years I have been teaching this mainly because lots of initiates, people who have received Vajrayana empowerment from very high lamas, they are completely bogged down with the sadhanas and they don't know how to negotiate themselves. So, and particularly some of the sadhanas is very long and they feel rather bad they're not able to do the sadhanas because of the length and complexities. And I pity because most people didn't understand emptiness. They didn't have any background training on the perfection of wisdom like Heart Sutra, let alone single hour meditation. So I took the liberty to teach this after teaching calm abiding meditation 30 years in Australia. Thousands of people have learned the calm abiding meditation over nearly 30 years. Then it's only last few years I have been teaching the single letter R meditation, particularly for people who have already received some Vajrayana deity yoga meditation. It is very important they do this, because this will greatly improve the quality of people's even short, simple sadhanas, rather than having to do huge number of sadhanas as a burden, as a commitment to the teacher or lineage that they themselves are never given the eye to have the wisdom with. So this is hopefully the this is why great Parilotsawa went all the way to India, brought this and taught to Sachin Kunga Nyingbo in 11th century. Now we are in 21st century. This has lasted 1,000 years. And you wouldn't believe how these few pages are tucked inside this volume number 6. Some people don't even know what it probably most profound of all the practices, this one. Otherwise, whether it's Anuttara Yoga deities, Father Tantra, female Tantra, or non-dual Tantra, even you practice all of these, it's huge volumes, huge mouthful of deities, come forms, but still people don't understand emptiness. And you need a lot of merit to understand this, and then have even greater enthusiasm and diligence into few of your sadhanas. You don't have to do many sadhanas. When you can everything, your practice will become much more profound, both on or off cushions. You probably have more off the cushion time use of the and then you can see how much you have found, how much your sight has been restored. And you have good reason to renew your refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, because you are a recipient of this eye operation. So with this we are concluding. Thank you very much. Of course, as organizers mentioned, there are a few other teaching programs they have asked me to do, both the Heruka Vajrasattva meditation, because in order for oneself to practice and have merit to understand emptiness, you have to purify your gross karma and afflictions. So Heruka Vajrasattva meditation is such a purification practice. So we're doing that next month, and as well as I will be doing some question and answer, so that people can write the questions of the teachings that you have attended or regarding each of these practices, and then you will have time between now and then to study and compare your notes, and then come back and do that. So even though we are physically very far, but through technology that we are able to connect together and create this bond with the Holy Dharma, and practice with all of you will be great gift in this crisis world that is torn apart by not only natural disasters of flood and fire and so on, but a lot of deluded human-made sufferings of war and conflicts and pestilence, all these things. So, so therefore, being able to spend this time together is a great cause of joy and true gift of loving kindness and compassion. So all the organizers definitely keenly organized, coordinated all of these things, and we rejoice everybody's effort. And may each of you have not only listened but pay heedful to these contents and the meanings of these teachings, and pointing the point, knowing what is pointed at, and then look at what is you are being pointed to by using the meditation, and how it can greatly boost and enhance your fitness to practice Dharma with great, I would say, style and realization. So with this in mind, we will now do the dedication merit. Sorry, our time has extended a little bit longer, but what is time when you are really doing the right thing? So with this, we will do the dedication merits, and thank you, everyone. Hopefully, all our translators have not been exhausted by my inexperienced way of teaching through translators. I'm sure you're more experienced than I'm teaching through translators. So thank you very much, everyone. We will do the dedication merits, offering this long life for our teachers, particularly His Holiness Dalai Lama, His Holiness Sakya Trinzin, His Holiness all the great masters of the different lineages and tradition, as well as your own. May you all enjoy good illusory health. We don't say in Buddhism, how are you? We say, how are your aggregates? And you say, of course. You don't say, I'm good. You say, what is aggregate? You're asking my aggregates? They're a transient collection, aren't they? Oh, they're still hanging together. So anyway, thank you very much. We will do the dedication of the merits. Herenda Mahayana Jijin whatever mereda hevega meobe vegazela Choda Mahayana Jijin Courage Manju Shinyo Azama Trabajadila following all the Zambo Ajadege all the Mede Selem Bodhicitta Teba Vedana Yedanza where has been born freely without generation. Now before you go, we will conclude with these 3 R's. Now we're going to say 3 R's. Start with soft R, softly saying R, and then the soft R that you're saying become louder and louder. Imagine this R is heard by all sentient beings, and they come to know what we've been talking and reciting, and they come to realize that everything is not what they seem. They're impermanent, they're not truly existing, they're not independently, truly independent. They do not exist at all from their own point of view. And thus their burden from the shoulder of their wrong views are lifted, and they all hear this good news. With this in mind, we will do 3 hours, start soft and then loud. The idea is that it become audible to all sentient beings. Thank you, everyone.